Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
In discussing this point about the Moharam and the incident of Karbala, we have reached to the 4th of Moharam, and the days of Moharam are moving towards the big day, the grand day of Moharam, that is Ashura. Every day we come slightly closer to the Ashura. Every day in the history of Islam, if you look back to the history of Karbala, each day of Muharram has been very important for the occasions, the incidents which took place. And going back to the very beginning, the point which I always emphasize on people is that we mustn't forget the reason for the Battle of Karbala. The reason for Imam Hussein to pay biggest sacrifice that the world will continue to remember until the Yom Qiyamah. This particular incident has always been talked about, is that how the miracle of this world is witnessing the entire world is in mourning at the moment. Doesn't matter which country you go to, you'll find majalises. Doesn't matter which part of the world you go to, you'll find the Shi'as of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are gathering together and remembering Imam Hussein. So, by doing that, what they're doing, I think they are reviving the zest or the enthusiasm about Islam. By remembering two things happen in Muharram. Number one, that you pay attention to the basics of Islam. And we try to learn the facts of Islam, the rules of Islam, usul ad-din, furu ad-din, aqaid, mustahabbat, wajibat, all those things, those are the pillars of Islam. Because if we don't understand those pillars, and we just remember the Battle of Karbala and cry for Imam Hussein, then it doesn't make sense. Two things must be connected to each other. Unless these two things are connected, you're not doing the full duty or full justice, is the right word, to the sacrifice of Imam Hussein. The sacrifice of Imam Hussein is only justified and you are qualified to cry for Imam Hussein if you practice what he preached, or which he tried to preach in his lifetime. We looked into the different aspects of Imam Hussein's struggle, and all the Aimma alayhi salam, after Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his son, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, their sons, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, their sons, they all continued in this struggle of preaching Islam. They were not interested in power. They were not interested in ruling. In fact, none of them are rulers, if you think about it. None of them are rulers. None of them were rulers or kings or prestigious people in their lifetime. Up until Imam Mahdi. Yes, he will come. He will find the justice in the world. He will rule the world and will find the ultimate peace in the world. But none of the 11 Imam, if you think about the history, the only Imam which ruled was Amir al-Mu'mineen.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And that too was only for 4 years. He did not rule for too long. He ruled it with the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fear of deen. He kept the Quran in one hand and deen on the other hand, and then he ruled. Whatever he did, and that's why he was criticized. That's why he was criticized so much so that historians have written that his 4 years of ruling was a failure. So much so. A lot of people say that. To us, according to our points, the most successful ruling in the history of Islam was those 4 years when Imam Ali ruled the Muslim world. After that, So none of the Imams were interested in what they were interested. They were interested in people's welfare. They were interested that nobody would go hungry among us. They would go night time to help other people. They would do, if they would come to know that somebody is in a problem about Islam, they would explain to him. So they would do their utmost struggle, jihad, to take care of the spiritual aspect of the community. That people would not go astray, people would not do haram, people would not do... These are the works of all Imams, all in their lifetime. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. Our sixth Imam put down the tradition of documentation. That's why we call him a scholar Imam. He said, up until now, the tradition is oral. People are talking about it and listening. Now, we have progressed. Time has come that we must put down tradition on paper. We must create documentation. So he started school, and that's why we call it the School of Ahlul Bayt, Fiqh Jafariya. Why we call it Fiqh Jafariya? It's not an isolated. Why the School of Jafariya? Imam Jafar started after his name, that's the name is known. He created scholars. So much so that those scholars have then created their own names and have branches, and that branches have become their own names. But all Imams have taken care of certain aspects of Islam. And this is the purpose of the sacrifice of Imam Zaidi Uncle. One thing which is very important, which I want to talk about is that people should struggle all their lives. There is no end to that until you leave this world. To be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be spiritual, to be pious. What is piety? What is pious? Who is spiritual? Who is not? Are the people with a long beard, white beard, and old people, are they pious? No. A 5-year, a 6-year, a 10 years could be equally pious. There are people who never miss namaz from the day the namaz is wajib on them, until the day they die. They are considered pious. The people who struggle, they have never hurt anybody from their tongue. They never harm anybody from their hands. This is what we call crystallization of your personality. That is one aspect of Islam, is that an individual and a human being should be pious, a mu'min, a trustworthy individual. People can have a trust in him. Why people would go and put all their economic interests into the hands of some local imam? They know that he's not a dishonest man. He knows that if I would leave millions and millions of rupees or dollars or whatever, that wealth would not disappear. He's an honest man. And what happened to Rasulullah? Look at the history. Why Bibi Khadija trusted Rasulullah? She was a wealthy woman. She trusted him because he was an honest man. And honesty is the character of piety. That you are honest, the people will be developing a trust in you. And trust is something that people will say he or she is the person. This is one of the cornerstone of Islamic belief. But individual, it is difficult because we live in dunya. Temptation of dunya is around us. Since morning until night time, we face problems, we face conditions where we have to lie, or we have to cheat. No, we don't have to cheat. Even if it's loss, you bear the losses. But it's always a struggle to earn the honest, which is less, than the dishonest, which is more. The barakat of honest earning and honest achievement, which is less.